Why do men generally make more than women? How do economists view gender roles? Economists study the difference between genders in order to better understand the sources of disparities and what we can do to reduce them. I'm Yana Gallen, assistant professor at University of Chicago's Harris School of Public Policy, and this is Economics for Everyone. Economics can be used to study more than stock markets, taxes, and prices. Many economists study the minutiae of everyday life. Why did you cook dinner yesterday instead of eating out? Who in the family cooked it? Why? And what broader implications does that have for equality in society? By my example, you might be able to tell where I'm going. Many economists, such as myself, study how gender affects the work that an individual does, both at home and in the market. Gary Becker, an economist from the University of Chicago, introduced the notion that when two people come together to form a household, it might make economic sense for one to specialize in market work, going to a 9-to-5 job, for example, and the other to specialize in home production, cooking meals, cleaning, raising children. The model offers a framework for analyzing various aspects of household behavior, such as marriage, fertility choices, and labor force participation. Women are assumed to have a comparative advantage in home production, for example, because only women can breastfeed their babies. It makes sense then that women would spend relatively more time than men on these activities within the household. If wages are higher for individuals who work more, it might make even more sense for one partner to invest in human capital, which will be rewarded with higher wages over their lifetime, and the other to invest in work at home. This model looks a lot like the nuclear family world of the 1950s. Happy housewives supporting their partners, watching the children, cooking and cleaning. But then came widespread electricity, microwaves, plastic, dishwashers, on and on and on. Women could spend much less time on housework to produce the same result, and then use their time more productively at work. And they did. Another important driver of women into the labor force was technological advancement and control over reproduction. The birth control pill allowed women growing up in the 1970s and 1980s to delay having children without also delaying dating and socializing. As Nobel Prize winner Claudia Golden's work with economist Larry Katz shows, women did put off having children in favor of getting more human capital, and married someone other than, maybe better than, their high school sweetheart. Women started pursuing professional degrees, becoming doctors and lawyers at never-before-seen rates. Now, about half of new medical school graduates are female. So, nowadays, households have all this great technology. They have a lot of control over when they have children. Women spend a lot more time in school. Actually, women attain higher levels of education than men. Women have higher human capital as measured by education, no huge advantage in doing housework, can delay having children until they're established in their career, but there's still a pretty large wage gap between men and women. Why? Well, it turns out that the gap in wages between men and women really expands right when a woman has her first child. Economists such as Heinrich Klevin at Princeton refer to this as the motherhood penalty. One reason women do less market production or work after having children relative to the fathers of those children may be that they just like spending time with their children or investing in their children more than men. One trend that we see consistent with this is that in countries where people believe that children are better off with their mothers rather than in daycare, the motherhood penalty is larger. And, as Klevin shows, this is even true among immigrants to the US, who all face a similar childcare landscape, but might have different beliefs about the best way to raise their children. It's clear that choices are an important part of the motherhood penalty. Are households making the right choices? And is it all about preferences, or do women face some constraints and difficulties working as much as they would like to after having children? What factors shape the timing of birth? Is the motherhood penalty larger in some periods of life relative to others? My research studies this question by looking at women who were not trying to have a child, but accidents happen. Using data on women who are using IUDs or birth control implants, but who get pregnant anyway, we're able to look at how children impact women's career trajectory compared to those whose birth control is working as expected. The nice thing is this gives us a sense of when childbirth is really disruptive, which we might never see if women avoid having children in general at these times. We do see that women who are enrolled in education have much larger negative impacts from unplanned birth than women who are not enrolled in education. And that in general, younger women have larger negative impacts than older women from having these unplanned children. This means waiting to have a child can shield women from some of the motherhood penalty. And women have been delaying a lot. Between 1970 and 2020, the average age at which US women were having their first child rose from 21 to 27 years old. Women all over the world are having fewer children. And this makes a lot of sense. We used to have children because they helped us in old age or because they helped us around the house. Now, none of those motives are very important. So, what's the point of children? Well, I have 4, and I like them quite a lot. But it's clear that many women are coming to different conclusions. Around the world, fertility is falling dramatically. The Western world is well below replacement fertility, and there are major implications for the structure of welfare programs, since the number of non-working people will greatly exceed the number of working people in upcoming decades. This brings up a couple of questions which I don't have the answer to yet. How can we maintain a thriving egalitarian society? Are societies who have participated in this great experiment with freedom for women doomed to disappear? These questions and more can be explored by using economics, because economics is for everyone.